now. I'm Barbara Garrity Blake, and I'm here in Buxton, and I'm talking to Mr. Reese Folb on March 3rd, 2004. Right. Mr. Folb, or Reese, I understand that your father was Doc Folb, and he worked here on the island. Could you tell me what era that was when he practiced here?
Well, yes. He got here he got stationed here. He was in the Navy. He was a Navy chief hospital corpsman. Mm-hmm. Chief Pharmacist Mate. I got it wrong, and now they're hospital corpsmen. But in those days, he was a chief pharmacist mate in the Navy.
Right. And do you know what year that was?
And that was, I think, around 28.
How about that?
It may have been a little bit earlier than that. I don't know. And he met my mother right down here.
Oh, so she's a Hatteras Island native.
Yes. She lived in the house that was right over 200 feet from here, my cousin's, where my cousin's house is now.
Right. And so what was her maiden name?
Sybil Miller. Sybil Louise Miller, Folb.
Wow, from right here in Buxton.
Yes, and I was born right in that house that was over there.
You were born in the house? Did your father deliver you?
Yes.
Aww.
And about 200 others.
Yeah. Well, good. I wanted to ask you about that, too.
Yeah.
So what year, from about the late 20s until when, did you practice here on the island?
Probably till about 32.
Mm-hmm.
32 or 33, somewhere in that vicinity.
Okay.
Because we moved up to Philadelphia for a while. I think we lived in Norfolk for a little while.
Oh, was he stationed elsewhere at that point?
Yeah, and then he got stationed in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba when I was about 4.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So, and we were there for 3 years.
Oh, and then did he eventually move back to the island?
No. We moved back to Chapel Hill so we could go to school some more. Wilmington, and then finally Winston-Salem.
Oh my gosh.
And we were in Winston when I was about 7 on until I was graduated from high school.
Wow. Now, when did you move back on the island?
I moved back in 88.
Were you retiring at that point?
I retired at that point. I worked for the for the government service, Navy Department.
Oh, and okay. And what made you want to move to Buxton?
This has always been home. I even got, when I was in the Navy in 51 to 55, I was stationed in Norfolk, ultimately. And needless to say, that's awfully convenient here.
Oh, right.
So I came down here every chance I had. This has always been home.
Isn't that nice? And because your mother's people were always here, you've always had relatives here. You had a home place to come to, right?
Yes. I had my own room, literally, up there in the old home place.
Oh, that's nice.
I got put back in my mother and dad's room where they were.
Right.
And I came down here every chance I got.
Right. Now, when did your father die? When did he pass away?
He passed away about 1982.
1982. And did he make it a point to try to get back here? I guess since your mother had folks here, that he probably did.
No. He stayed in Winston.
Oh.
Now, of course, they came down every summer to join me down here.
Oh, okay. So he did come back regularly.
Yes, he came back regularly.
Yeah.
The whole time. In fact, he built my brother's house. And the only reason I built this house back here is because my brother moved in with him, with his family.
Right.
And so to give him a place, I built this house in 88.
Okay.
So he would have a place he could go be by himself once in a while.
Now, when he left in 1932, was there then a new doctor stationed here with the Navy?
Usually there was a doctor stationed here, but not with the Navy.
Because it seems to me, in talking to other people and reading accounts, that your father was especially loved in this community. I mean, his name comes up a lot.
In fact, he left me a lot in his will, and I basically developed it, and I named the road that went down in the front Doc Folb Lane.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Yeah, he had an awful lot of very, very dear friends down here.
Right. Well, did he ever share any stories with you about practicing on the island that you can recall?
Not that I can recall.
What was his range? How far did he go? Was it the whole island? All of Hatteras, all the way up to Rodanthe? He was the only doctor at that period?
No, they had a doctor down here.
Oh, they had another?
But, yeah. They had a civilian doctor.
Oh, okay.
And he wasn't supposed to be the doctor, but he did. He delivered about 200 of us.
Really? Wow. Now, I also imagine that they had midwives on the island.
I think they did then, yes.
Yeah. So, do you recollect him talking about working with any of the midwives or sharing, any kind of
I don't think
practices or anything like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not that I know of.
So, but he was supposed to be a Navy doctor and work on the military, help the military personnel.
That's, yes.
But when you're in a community like this, you're just in the community, you're going to help everybody, right?
Yes.
How did he get around?
Well, he had a car. He drove everywhere he went down here. I don't know what kind of car he had. Around the 1930s, it was probably an A model Ford.
Right.
That's what everybody else had anyway.
Uh-huh.
And there was no highway. There was no road except 2 car tracks in the sand.
Wow. Do you remember that?
I do very well. When I'd come down here, I would have to catch the bus line down here then. Was after World War II, the bus line became ex-military vehicles with 4-wheel drive.
Oh.
Because there was still no road down here then.
Was that the Anderson brothers?
Yes, it was.
And so that was, before World War II, they had their own little, whatever, funky buses. And
yes.
then after, they started using these.
In fact, they had cars, station wagons, anything they could get their hands on.
Ah, okay.
And you couldn't come down the road without getting stuck at least once.
Yeah.
And everybody would get out and push.
Uh-huh.
And then finally they got I think it was a school bus, an old school bus.
How about that?
And then they started bringing everybody down in the bus.
Yeah, so as a young man, that must have been fun for you to visit and ride on that bus.
Well, I never enjoyed riding on the bus back and forth because it beat you to death.
Oh, right.
The road was not in any way smooth. It was bumpy, and it would throw you back and forth in
but that was
the
the only
vehicles, and that was all there was.
Yeah, unless you wanted to take a skiff or something down the island, but that would probably be more. That would beat you to death too, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't have any transportation really down here then.
Yeah.
But they still did have boats coming into various places.
Do you ever have villagers stop and talk to you about your father and saying, "I remember your father," or "Your father delivered"? I have a lot of them talk to me about Dad. A lot of the older guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do they say?
They just recall the days that he was here.
Right.
And I sit there and listen because it's always interesting.
Did he have where was his office?
In the house itself. That was over there.
Right.
And he and Mom had a separate room up in the back, which is the one I always stayed in when I came down here later. And one of the bedrooms was his office at the time.
Oh.
In fact, I think it was right up. That was the biggest bedroom, and it seems to me there was a great big monster desk in there.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Now, what year were you born?
1930.
1930.
But I'm only 23. because I had heart surgery, and the doc told me he had 50 years to my life.
Wow, I want to go to that doctor.
24. I just had a birthday.
And did you have siblings? Do you have siblings?
I have one brother
Uh-huh.
who has that house
Right.
there.
Right, okay.
And Dad didn't think he would make it through World War II. And so during World War II, they had another son.
Oh, what about that?
He didn't think either one of us would get through.
Wow. Because your brother, was he fighting in World War II?
No, brother wasn't. No, brother he's 14 years younger than me.
Oh, okay, I see. Right. So why didn't he think, your father didn't think he would get through?
He didn't think he would get through, and
Why?
he didn't think I would get through. He thought it was going to be the war would last a long time.
Really?
And it probably, if it hadn't been for the atom bombs, it would probably have lasted a lot longer than it lasted.
Gosh. Wow.
But the atom bomb made him say, I surrender.
Right, right.
And it really did.
Yeah.
But they were very tenacious.
Right.
And they're still a very tenacious people.
Oh, yeah. Is your wife from here?
No. She is actually from Kansas.
Oh, uh-huh.
But I met her in Hawaii.
Wow, you're a well-traveled man.
When I was working my job up there in Washington, D.C., I had been married before, and I have 3 children.
Mm-hmm.
2 boys, and then I had a girl. And I was actually married for 30 years.
Wow.
But the last 15 were hell on wheels.
Yeah.
And so when I met my present wife, she left Kansas with about, I think, with a ticket to Hawaii and about $18 in her pocket. She was about 18 years old at the time. I don't know how much money she had, but it wasn't much. And she went to Hawaii and went to work. And when I met her, she was the assistant manager of one of the nicest bars on Waikiki Beach.
Wow. Gee whiz.
And so the night I met her, the night I was in there and I met her, I said, how about a date later? And that started it all.
And how did she feel about eventually moving here to Hatteras Island?
I told her it's just like Hawaii.
Did she fall for that?
She complains that it's not really quite like Hawaii. It is an island, but...
It is an island. Oh my gosh.
But I had brought her down here before. And,
right. And you've been here since the 80s, you said?
yeah, I moved here in about 80. We moved down here about 88.
Okay, so she's adjusted pretty well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Very definitely. And we came down here even before we got married.
Okay. Now, do you still have relatives here?
I have a cousin that lives directly across the road. This was a family enclave, literally, right here.
Oh, okay.
My folks' house was where my brother's living, right directly in front, that brick house that you rode by.
Right.
My cousin lives right next door to him,
Oh.
where the grandparents' house was.
Okay.
The house he was born in is directly across the road from that.
Right.
And an uncle's house was right next to that, right across the road over there.
Wow.
And
so this is your compound.
oh yeah, this is literally the Miller compound.
Oh, that's nice. And is Miller an old name of Buxton?
Actually, no. Actually, that came from Kankakee,
Oh, did
Avon.
I haven't heard the name Miller around here much.
Yeah, there are quite a few Millers down here. In
Wow.
fact.
Well, I'll be darned.
But my granddad was actually from Kankakee, which I can't help but call it. I can't call it Avon somehow. That's
Right.
just a post office name.
That's not poetic like
No.
Kankakee is.
And
What was his name?
my dad's name,
Your grandfather.
Oh, my grandfather. Franklin McCotter, M-C-C-O-T-T-E-R, Miller.
Okay.
So needless to say, I named my son Franklin Miller.
That's nice. That's nice.
Or Franklin
And
Miller Folb. Yes, that's what I named him.
Do you remember your grandfather, Franklin Miller? Do you remember what his wife's maiden name was? Your grandmother's?
She was, wait a minute, I think I can. She was a Quidley.
Ah, okay.
Before she became a Miller.
Yeah, Quidley is Buxton name, isn't it? Buxton
No,
House?
I think she was up in Kennequay too at the time.
Right. I'm darn.
Angeline Quidley Miller.
Okay. And what did your grandfather do for a living?
My grandfather was in the Coast Guard, in the old life-saving service.
Okay.
He was retired from the old life-saving service.
Oh, nice.
Which, as you know, there were stations all along the beach, every few miles.
Right. Well, they must have been proud of their daughter for marrying a doctor, right? A Navy doctor.
Oh yeah, they accepted him very, very quickly.
Yeah.
He was quite a gentleman.
Did you do you have memories of seeing him when you were little? Did he make house calls? Did he carry a doctor's bag?
I don't remember him when he was down here.
You were too little.
Yeah, I was too little at that time. We left here when I was about 2.
Oh yeah. Right.
And so I don't have any recollections of my baby days down here.
Right. Right.
But I can remember when we still drove down. I came down here when I was in high school, and I'd come down here on the bus, the Anderson bus line.
Right.
Right, the midget bus line. There were midgets. And,
well, so you could give me a little insight as to how the island has changed over the years, since you've been coming here your whole life and then eventually moved here. What would you say have been some of the main changes that sort of changed the character of
we have
Hatteras?
a lot more visitors coming down.
Yes.
Tons more visitors coming down.
Right.
It was always so hard before the road went in. And the road went in mostly about in the 50s.
Right.
It went at least up to Kennequay, Hatteras to Kennequay.
Right.
Before they joined it up with the rest of the island up to Nag's Head.
Yeah.
And basically it's been the same thing ever since.
Yeah, a lot of
Which
people.
they put the bridge in 62. I think it was 62.
Right.
And now they're getting ready talking about building another bridge up there.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Coming all the way down to Rodanthe.
Right, a big back sound causeway.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you know anything about the specific history of Buxton? What's characterized Buxton historically?
Well, the only thing, really, was its relative position to the Diamond Shovels.
Oh, yeah.
We are here on the point of the island, where the island it comes due south, and when it gets here, it turns almost due west, and then fades around towards the south a little bit, towards Ocracoke.
Right.
And there was an old Coast Guard station out there.
And then, of course, the lighthouse.
And the lighthouse. And I don't know how in the world they ever moved it. I swore they'd never be able to.
Right.
And it's not the same with it moved because I changed all my locations. That I used to navigate by that out in the Sound.
Oh, you took a boat out?
Oh yeah, I have
Right.
lived out in that Sound ever
Aw.
since. That's my playground.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
I never was into fishing much unless I fished in the Sound. I didn't fish much on the beach.
Right. Do you commercial fish or recreational fish?
Just recreation.
Hook and line?
Yeah.
So, I guess the village that developed here in Buxton was sort of because of Diamond Shoals, because of the unique geography right here, that you had more. Is this where the Navy was? The Navy base?
Yes.
Yeah. And
They had actually a little place right up about where the Fessenden Center is.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a small base there.
Okay. And
I can't even remember the Navy base down here.
Right.
It didn't last long.
Does Buxton look
Well, they had a Navy base since during the war and stuff like that. But
right? I heard that Buxton used to be much more wooded.
yes,
Do you remember what it was like back then? Buxton Woods?
not really. That's where my land is that I
Oh.
named Doc Fob Lane. It's
Oh, okay.
back in those old woods.
Oh, I've seen that now that you mention that.
Oh, is that
Because
right?
My friend
Yeah.
Susan lives back in there. And I remember seeing Doc Fob Lane.
Oh, do you? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Beautiful.
one. Yes, it is. It's a beautiful piece of land. I
Yeah.
had at least 40,000 square feet on each of the lots that
Wow.
I had 7 lots back there.
And did you sell them?
All but one. And we took it off the market because the prices were just going sky high. And so,
The prices for land?
yeah.
Well, why would you take it off the market? That's good, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, but the way it was going up, we didn't want to sell it yet. We had just sold.
Oh, I see. You want to hold out.
Yeah,
and see
I
where
sold
they go.
one about 92 to a neighbor over here, and he has since swapped with his brother.
Uh-huh.
And his brother has built he started building the house, and his brother finished it,
Right.
and he built a new house over here next door.
So how much has it gone up, say, compared to 92 to 2002?
In prices,
Yeah.
well, I was selling mine in the 30s and 40s
For an acre?
for almost an acre, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they jumped up to in the hundreds.
Gosh, right now?
Uh-huh.
Like 100,000, 200,000? 100 something.
In the 100 to 150.
Wow. That's amazing. That's not even waterfront, is it?
Mm-hmm. One of them does border on the Park Service.
Uh-huh.
The lot, the first one I sold.
Right. So that
does
would be
border on the Park
desirable.
Service, yeah. But the rest of them, one of them is down near a creek.
Yeah.
Has a creek running on one end of it.
Gosh, so now you could get as much money for one as you got for all the other ones combined. Just
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
Wow. Well, and walking back there, it's very beautiful.
Mhm.
But Susan showed me a place where they were clearing, and there had been
Susan
West.
Susan West?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Works at the post
Yes.
office in Avon.
Yes.
But we
I
saw
know her well.
a place that it had been a graveyard, and they were, the bulldozers were pushing up against the graves and all. Have you seen any of that going on?
Not since then.
Yeah.
Not since then. But that was happening back there on
I'm
that
surprised they
that
can
road.
do that.
Flower Ridge Road.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There were a lot of graveyards back there.
Right.
In fact, there's one big one rather large one.
And
Now,
on
our-
Flowers Ridge. Mm-hmm.
Our family graveyard is right down the road here, just a little ways.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, right across, almost directly across from the Methodist Church,
Oh.
just this side of the school.
Is it all by itself, or is it in somebody's yard?
It's all by itself. Nobody's built there, but they built on both sides of it.
Is that where you're going to be buried someday?
Oh, yes. All my family's there, my grandparents, my uncles, my mom and dad.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
And that's where brother and I'll be put too, I imagine.
Right. Now, do any of your kids live here or not?
Nope, no, they're all of them live within 15 minutes of each other up in Maryland.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
3 different little villages, but they're all little villages.
Right, right. Aw.
And one's Mount Airy, one's in Damascus, and one's in... I can't remember the name of it, but I know where it is.
Right, right.
It's such a small village, I can never remember the name of it.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Buxton, people in Buxton being called Billy Goaters?
Mm-mm.
Somebody said that to me the other day. And
I've never heard that before.
Huh. I just wonder if somebody used to have a goat farm back here way back when or something.
Not that I can remember. Not that I can remember.
So what areas, do you have any particular places you like to be here on the island besides, I know, just the sound? Put you out of the sound and you're happy. Do you have a boat back there that you keep tied up, or do you have to keep it somewhere else?
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, I got 2 in the yard
Oh, yeah.
out here, and I have 1 down in the boatyard.
All right, that's nice. 3 boats.
One 16 feet, which I'm trying to sell. I got one that's 20 feet, which I just got.
Right.
And it will go probably 65 miles an hour.
Ah.
And then I've got a cruiser that the wife and I cruise in. We go across the Sound, down to Ocracoke. We've been all the way down to Fort Lauderdale in it.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is a cruise.
Yeah.
Gosh. It's a motorboat?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
It's an inboard with an outdrive.
Right. And I guess no matter how much changes here on the island, the sound's always going to be the sound, huh? Just a little bit more crowded sometimes.
And it's never very crowded.
Yeah.
We go over to Oriental
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, and we go up to Newbern,
Oh, lovely.
and we go to Belhaven,
Yeah.
and we go to Ocracoke.
So is that your main hobby?
That's our, yeah.
Oh, it's nice.
That's my playground.
Mm-hmm.
I get out there every chance I get. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Gosh. So do you belong to any clubs or anything here on the island? Or are you just all oriented toward the water?
Totally.
How did you do during the hurricane, during Isabel?
We have never had a problem here
Yeah.
at all. I had some trees taken down that were close to the house, some pine trees.
Right.
You know, pines are not natural down here. They were brought down here
Oh.
and planted. And now we got more pine trees than we got anything else.
When were pine trees brought here?
I don't know when. It's been a long time.
Do you know who brought them? I mean, are we talking back
I don't
when the
really.
Spaniards were here?
I
Since then.
don't know, but it was way back
Huh.
that they were brought in
Right.
and started. The Park Service may have done it.
Yeah.
No, I think it was even before the Park Service came down here.
Oh, gosh.
So I don't know who started the pines.
Right.
But it's the oaks. There are 2 kinds of
Well,
oaks.
the oaks are beautiful.
Yeah.
They're
And
gorgeous.
we've got some down in here that have got to be hundreds of years old
Mhm.
that are right down in this area.
Oh, wow. Well, what do you see? What's this island going to look like 20 or 30 years down the road?
If the Park Service stays here, which I'm not necessarily happy about, I'm not happy with the Park Service and some of the things that they've done.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they're here.
Right. Yeah, that seems like the Park Service has public relation problems sometimes.
Yes,
And how they go
yeah.
about.
Now, we had the CCCs here when I was a kid,
Oh,
Civilian Conservation Corps.
right.
And they're the ones that put up most of the dunes that we've had
Yeah.
for all these
I've
years.
noticed plantings now coming down the island since the hurricane. They've sort of basically made this big berm of sand.
Yes.
And
Now,
then-
that's been the Park Service taking care of that. now.
Right.
That's
Okay.
doing most of that.
So what kind of things has the Park Service done that you don't agree with, that you think could be improved upon?
Well, they seem to be wrapped up in themselves for the most part.
Yeah.
and not what they've done down here.
Not enough community outreach
Yeah.
and communication and...
Yeah.
Right.
They've, like some of the things they're doing, they're putting limitations on going and climbing the lighthouse.
Right.
And it's things of that nature.
Why are they doing that? Is it because somebody jumped off it last year?
No. No, I don't really know why
Yeah.
they have, because they've done a lot to prevent people from doing it. But
Right. Maybe just to preserve the architect or something.
but I never thought they would ever get it moved.
Yeah.
Intact.
Did you watch it?
Yeah.
Were you for or against?
I was against.
A lot of people were against
Yeah.
moving that lighthouse.
Yeah.
Why do you think that was? Because in the end, it went fine.
Yeah,
Were
it did
people
go
afraid
fine.
it was going to topple?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It just seemed like an impossible chore.
Right.
I mean, it's very old, and for them to be able to handle it with it so fragile,
Mm-hmm.
it surprised me. I never thought they'd be able to do that. Not on
Right.
this soft, sandy ground.
Yeah, yet they did it.
Yet they did it, and I'm amazed how well they did it.
Do you think there's any lingering hard feelings that it was moved, or now that everybody saw that it was moved successfully, that people have moved on?
I think everybody's accepted.
Right, right.
But I think that's all they've done. It's somehow, if I go riding out towards the beach where it was,
Uh-huh.
I look for it.
Oh, right.
I still look for it to be there.
Do you think islanders are resistant to any kind of change, more or less, or not?
I think that, yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
Maybe for good reason if you look around, huh? There's
Yeah.
a lot of change happening
Yeah.
beyond their control. Yeah.
And one of the strange things, there was only, for this, one black person, I think, on this island.
Huh.
Only one. And so, needless to say, when we had this acceptance of the blacks,
Mm-hmm.
it took a while for it to get here.
Right.
It really did.
But you still don't
Now-
see.
Now you still don't see very many. We got more Mexicans than we got.
Yeah, there's a lot of
black
Mexicans
people.
on this island.
Lots of Mexicans,
Right.
but that's cheap labor, and that's what's doing that.
Right. So before, when there was just one black person on the island.
And I can't remember his name, but everybody knew he was here, and nobody bothered him or anything.
Right.
He was totally safe, and he lived here for a long time.
And then you get an acceptance of, I guess, integration and
Mhm.
equality, but then there's no black people on the island at all.
They will come down as visitors,
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
but that's about it. They're-
Right. Yeah, that's interesting because it has been sort of not a whole lot of cultural diversity,
Mm-mm.
ethnic diversity, until the influx of Mexicans. Now you're getting a pretty good diversity.
But it's only for the cheap labor.
And how can they afford to live here?
I have no idea.
It's expensive to live here, don't you think? I don't understand how anybody that, is making minimum wage could afford to pay the rent to live here.
Well, they'll usually do it in gangs.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they'll. A lot of the houses get rented to them, but then they'll go in there 5 at a time or something like
Right.
that, and
Yeah. Huh.
so that's what they're doing.
Yeah. Now, okay, so your father, what was his, I only have Doc Folb. What was his name?
His name was Maurice Bernard,
Oh, wow.
and I was named Junior.
You were named what?
Junior.
Really?
I was Maurice Bernard
Oh,
Folb
that's where Reese
Jr.
comes from.
And they called me Reese all my life to separate me from Dad.
Oh, isn't that
And so when I was 12 years old, they changed it.
To
Reese.
Reese.
And no middle name, no nothing.
All right.
So my first son is named Reese Bernard.
Gosh, isn't that nice? All right, so your father passed away in 1982. How about your mother?
She died about 75.
Oh, she died before that.
Yes.
Did she have a strong attachment to this area?
Oh, yeah.
And so where were you when she died? Where was she when she died?
She was in the hospital, and I was there with her.
In Norfolk?
No, this was in Winston-Salem.
Oh. And so is she buried here?
She is buried here.
So when she died...
We made a special trip down.
You transported her down
here from Winston-Salem.
Oh. Wow.
And buried her with her parents.
Oh. That nice.
And that's where Dad's buried.
Really? And where was he when he died? In Winston-Salem too?
No, I think he was down here. He had basically moved down here.
Oh, okay. As a retired
Yes.
retiree?
Yes.
Ah, well that must have been enjoyable for him.
Yeah. And he died over there in his house over there.
Okay. Did you ever see the sea chest out of Cape Hatteras School? And they did a thing on your father.
Yes.
They did a story on him. That was nice.
That's a fantastic story.
Yeah.
I have a copy.
Yeah, really nice. Really nice. So, let me think if I can think of any other questions here. Well, can you think of any particular issues that islanders face in, trying to maintain their unique character out here on Hatteras Island?
I think everybody is trying to maintain that is from down here.
Mm-hmm.
But how anything they do uniquely to do it is just whatever nature has them do.
Right.
I don't think there's any special attempt at it. It's just home.
Right. It's home. Yeah.
And that's the big thing about it.
Uh-huh.
I could never live here.
Yeah. Wow. Now, what sets all these communities apart from each other? What makes them unique? Do they have different personalities?
They have their own personalities.
Can you describe some differences?
Well, we kid the Kinnikiters.
Uh-huh.
We being from Buxton, and I think everybody does. They talk about Kinnikiters, highly fed, Yopon tea and crackling bread.
I've never heard that. I've heard
That's an
Kinnikiter
old. I've
Yopon
heard that
eater.
ever since I was that big.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do they laugh or get mad? When
Oh
you
no, they don't.
Yeah.
They don't worry about it. Nobody seems to worry about those kind of things.
And then how about those people way up there in Rodanthe, Waves, and Salvo?
I don't know them.
Yeah. Do you ever go to Old Christmas?
Nope, never have.
Mm-hmm.
Don't expect to.
Yeah.
I know I've known they've celebrated it for many, many, many years.
Right.
Ever since it was here, I guess.
Yeah.
And they've always been there, and they're growing in leaps and bounds.
Right.
Oh my God, I can't believe all the building.
Yeah, that's incredible out there, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It's damn near scary.
And how about Frisco?
Frisco is its own little village. It's grown quite a bit from what it was. It used to be called Trent.
Okay.
And
It's almost attached to Buxton, isn't it?
we're reaching that stage.
Yeah.
Yes. Buxton is spreading south, and they're sort of spreading north.
Do they
But
have
they're also spreading south.
Oh, right, toward
Because
Hatteras.
towards that beach down there. I have a very good friend that lives right out there close to the beach, and Isabel got him badly.
Oh, right.
His whole garage was flooded.
Oh,
Fortunately, the house was sitting up on a knoll,
yeah.
but the garage was down low, and so he suffered. We suffered nothing. I've got things I put across the front out here of the porch.
Right.
This is the front of this house.
That's the front?
That's the front.
That's how oriented you are to the sound.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
nice.
I made it to look out over the sound. In fact, before I had my roof just redone, and if you can tell in here, this has all been redone. We got new carpet. We got new walls on the outside. The old walls were 25 years old.
Wow.
And it was the old. They built this house in 88. And so it's that old.
Wow.
And we had never done anything with the outside of the house at all. She and I changed the carpet in here when we moved down here, finally.
Does your wife work?
She's a school teacher.
Really?
Special, yeah.
Special ed?
Yeah.
At the Cape Hatteras School? Isn't that
In
nice?
fact, she's department head.
Really?
Yeah. She is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
She just turned 50 2 days ago.
Really? Wow. She's young.
Yeah.
Wow.
About 24 years between us.
Really? Well, she keeps you going then, huh?
Oh, boy. But she is fantastic. I mean, with a child, she can just hear it and look at it and watch it move and things like that and know instantly what their problems are.
Right. What are some of the
She's
problems out here on the island with the kids? Is she working with the little kids?
No, actually, she has just one now, but as of that, she had the whole high school
Wow.
down here for a while,
Yeah.
and for 5 years.
So you're talking about people that have maybe reading disabilities and
They-
learning disabilities,
yes.
attention deficit.
All the above,
Right.
and she's basically the department head for all the above.
Wow. Did you meet her here? You already told me you met her in
Hawaii,
Hawaii.
yeah.
So, gosh, she has adjusted great.
Oh.
Not just getting used
She's
to it,
as bad as I am about down here.
She's just plugged herself right in. Excellent.
She really is.
Yeah, that's nice. Wow.
In fact, she's never been back to Hawaii once, and that she loved Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
She went out there when she was, I think, 18.
Has she noticed a drug problem?
And it's in the school badly.
That's
Yes.
terrible. Because I was just up in Avon and I heard about her death this weekend. It tore everybody up. A 19-year-old.
She knows them.
I imagine she must.
Yeah. She knows all the kids,
Yeah.
and she knows all of their problems. And
Yeah, what does she think? Why are they turning to heroin? Is it boredom?
it's everything.
Is
Oh,
it peer
God.
pressure? Is it,
I've lost some very dear friends to OxyContin.
Oh.
Now I think this one up there was heroin or something,
Yeah,
wasn't
it's
it?
a bit sad.
Yeah.
You've lost friends?
Yeah.
Your contemporaries? Really?
Actually, they've all been younger. One was one of the part owners of Dare Building.
Oh.
Was back here. He died. He had a home back on the back road.
Then it was an overdose of oxy. Yeah.
OxyContin.
That is a terrible thing. We've got that over in Carteret County too.
Oh, so many.
How many people would you say have actually died in, say, the last 2 or 3 years from drug overdoses? I know there have been.
I wouldn't doubt if it's not up to something like 5.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
At
Is the
least.
school doing anything to try to prevent these kids from getting tangled up in that?
They're trying to,
Yeah.
but I don't think they're having any success at all.
Right.
They're having more trouble with the parents than they are with the kids.
The parents' addictions?
No, just the parents themselves.
Oh, right.
Just the parents
The
themselves.
parents in being denial about their child, that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's their biggest problem
Yeah.
at the school.
Right.
Some of the parents are just horrendous.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, that's not just here.
And then there's a lot of unstable families. You know, when you sit down and talk to some of these kids, it's a wonder they can even get out of bed in the morning, let alone go to school.
Some of the parents are on the stuff as bad, you know, from the, before the kids were.
Right. That's so sad.
It is. It's terrible.
Well, we get on a cheerier subject.
Yes, please.
How has the sound become so important to you? Has it just always sort of felt like it's been part of your life?
My granddad taught me to sail. He had a 20-foot sail skiff. And he taught my cousin and myself. He's more like a brother to me than a cousin.
Yeah.
He's got an older brother and the oldest is a sister.
Uh-huh.
And but he and I have been, we're almost, he's 6 months older than I am.
Oh.
So we have been buddies every time I come down.
Right. Now, when you go out, do you always fish or sometimes fish?
Sometimes fish. I haven't fished much lately.
So it's mainly just being out there
Just
and
out there
cruising
on the
about,
sun. Yes.
breathing the salt air.
Oh, yes.
Seeing the dolphins.
And you know, it's not as salty out there as it is in the ocean.
Right.
Because there's an awful lot of fresh water feeding the sound.
Do you see the shoals changing a lot after a storm, or does it? No,
not
it's
really.
pretty stable where you know where you can go.
Yeah.
Do you know the names of all the little creeks along here?
Not really.
Yeah.
There are a lot of little creeks that go in, but
Right.
I don't know, and I don't know how to get into most of them.
Yeah. Huh. Well, it's a beautiful place, isn't it?
I dearly love it down here.
So you don't consider yourself a hardcore sport fisherman as much as a boat enthusiast?
Yeah.
Well, that's nice.
I just love being out on a boat.
Right.
I love the rock of it. I was in the Navy for 4 years.
Is it a wooden boat or a fiberglass boat?
It's fiberglass. I have an old aluminum boat. It's a 80-something years boat that I had. I've had it for a long time.
Right.
That's my 16-footer out there.
Yeah, oh, that's nice.
And it'll do 32 miles an hour. I put a 70.
Hold on to your hat.
I've had up to 115 horse on it. And no, that wasn't on that one. That was on another boat.
Uh-huh.
I've had so many.
Well, I can't think of any other questions. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Well, the idea of movies down here, we have movies down here. We have a theater.
Uh-huh.
And we even used to go down, get a ride during the war with Coast Guard.
Right.
To go down there and party or movies and things like that.
To Hatteras Village?
Yeah, to Hatteras Village. I don't think we ever had one. We might have one at one time.
Right. I heard that Hatteras Village had movies plus they had like a dance pavilion or something.
Oh, yes.
Did you ever go to that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And they served beer there.
Wow. Did they have a jukebox or a band?
Once in a while they'd have a band, but mostly it was a jukebox.
What kind of beer did they serve?
Oh, everything that they got, that they can get.
I mean, was it brands that we don't have anymore?
Not that I know of.
Yeah.
I think they're all still around.
I thought Hatteras was a dry island for a long time.
Except for the beer part.
Oh. Maybe
for a long time, they had the beer.
Right.
And then I think it went dry, as a matter of fact.
Yeah,
for a certain
I think
period.
that's what happened. I think it went dry. And then they had moonshine. Cornmeal. Whatever.
And I didn't know.
Meal wine.
I wouldn't doubt it. Because I think some still make it down here.
Right. Right. Yeah, well, you know. I guess it's better than Oxycontin.
Yeah, I just happen to have a gallon down in the garage.
Moonshine?
Oh,
My
yeah.
husband always gets a little bit. He's a real aficionado about. So what kind is yours? What's it made out of? Corn?
Oh, I don't even know.
A gallon of
I don't even know what it is. All I know it's moonshine.
Right.
It's clear.
It's clear. Wow.
Clear as it can be.
Well, you can always use it as fuel for a fire or something if have other uses in an emergency.
I've never tried it.
Yeah. Okay, well, I don't know what else to say, so I just appreciate you taking this time with me today.
I've really enjoyed it.
Tell me the names, what kind of dogs those are again, I want to remember.
English bulldogs.
English bulldogs. Gosh, they're so funny.
They get that way from chasing parked cars.
Well, thank you, Reese. This has been an enjoyable morning.
It has for me too, Barb, just so you know that.
Oh, well, good.
Yes.
And I would be glad to get you a copy of this.
I would love to have a copy of it.